What do I do with it next? What's the plan? What should I do? Who should I talk to about this? The who, the what, the when, the why, the where, the great news, we're going to do blah, blah, blah. Have a launch party. I'm going to talk today more about how do you get team buy-in. I can't tell you how many questions we get on this. And I also, just to toot my own horn a little bit, can't tell you how many times we get just admiration from clients about how we get team buy-in. I wanted to take a moment and kind of walk through some steps that we use to get team buy-in. This could be team buy-in on a new management system, on a piece of technology, on making renewal review calls, getting people to give up notebooks and to make sure that we have everything documented in our system. List of things that you could get team buy-in on is gigantic. I'm going to start the podcast here today by talking more about some of the challenges you have with team buy-in. So what we know in advance, we can prepare for in advance. And one of the things I speak a lot about in this blog is what I call the queen bee role. Queen bee role is somebody in an agency. Generally, they've been there for a very long time. They know all the clients, very technically superior, great relationships with clients. You almost never hear anything negative from a client perspective. However, internally, they're a wrecking ball. They're a cancer. They have a lot of prickly points. Whenever you're going to try to do something new, in the back of your head, you're always thinking, what will Queen Bee think? Queen Bee is a de facto influencer. They might not have any power. They might not have a title. They might not have an authority, but the team looks up to them. You'll know you have a Queen Bee if you have someone new join the agency. And if Queen Bee doesn't like it, somehow in the next 6 months, either she convinces you or he convinces you to fire the person or just bullies them so much that they leave. You have to be careful with Queen Bee because whether we like it or not, we can't feed that ego. But they are a de facto influencer. I'm going to talk a little bit later in this podcast about what do we do if we have a queen bee. That's a prickly subject. There's a lot of points. I'm going to take it from just the perspective of what do we have to do to get buy-in on queen bee. But there's some other things you need to consider in the long haul about your queen bee. Next up, a reason why we don't get buy-in is lack of details. Many agency owners tend to be more sales focused, so details might not be the thing that makes them tick. And why I say that this is so critical is your team generally is full of support people who thrive off of details. So they want to know the who, the what, the when, the why, the where, the what's the date we're doing this, what happens on Taco Tuesday when there's a full moon and Cindy's out, what are we going to do? They want to have everything thought through. And this is so common. Whenever we launch any of our programs, when we talk to account managers, I know that we are going to spend a fair amount of time talking about the minority, not the majority of the time it's going to happen. And they want a game plan. They want to know, they want perfection. That's what makes them really good at their job. So we can't take that away from them. We have to honor it and be prepared with details. So many times agencies go and launch something new and it's like a half-baked plan. And I'm like, people, you just made an announcement. You didn't roll anything out and you're thinking you're going to get buy-in. You just did a PSA announcement over the loudspeaker more than anything. The next reason why you might not get buy-in is people are unclear on the why. You might be thinking this is going to solve so many problems. We're going to be more efficient. The client experience is going to be better, but you never describe that to the team. So you come in and say, great news, we're going to do blah, blah, blah. And they're like, more work, more frustration. It's not going to do this. It's not going to do that. What about this? And you forgot about the why of everything. It's so critical that you spend some time on the why. The why connects the dots to the bigger picture. And you've heard me say, if you followed us, that every agency needs a 10-year vision. A lot of times the why connects to that vision. A lot of times the why connects to what's going to happen in 5 years. Are we going to regret that we didn't hop on this bandwagon? I think that the biggest thing is you have to be very clear the why you're doing this and be able to communicate that effectively to your team. Another reason why we don't get buy-in is what we call the one-time bomb drop. We get everybody together. We say we're doing XYZ. Maybe that's we're getting a VA. Maybe that's we're changing management systems. Maybe that's we're using more electronic forms. A variety of different scenarios. We're giving up notepads because Kelly said so. We're making renewal review calls. We tell everybody and then literally crickets chirping because as the leader, you think I told them what to do, but we didn't get effective buy-in. What ended up happening was we tell everybody goes back to their desk and does exactly what they were doing before because they're either unclear, unsure, want to see if you're serious. That's a big one. And you end up very frustrated because in a few weeks you run a report and find out no one's doing it and then you huff and puff. The one-time bomb drop doesn't work. If you're going to launch any new initiative, you must have the time to see it out and check in on it and have clear communication and updates and make sure people understand that you're watching and what you're watching 4. That's a huge, huge one. Don't do the one-time bomb drop. Have a consistent communication strategy. Another reason why you might not be getting effective buy-in in your agency is the try mentality. This means, well, we'll try it. Let's just try it and see. You just sent a message to your team that they have the empowerment, if they don't like it, that we're going to go get away from it. Let's be honest. Most frontline team members are looking at today. That's their role. Their role is what's going on today. How can I make my life easier today? The role of leaders is to be looking ahead, years in advance. So you're diametrically approved. The try mentality allows people to go back to their comfort zone. Anytime you try something new, guess what? It's never going to feel good. It takes 10 times to do something before you feel comfortable, before you feel dynamic in it. That is something we have to be focused on. So when you have to be very impeccable with your words when you're rolling something out new, and try is not something you want to do. Well, just try it. That sends a message of, I'll try it. I'll tell you I don't like it. And then I get to go back to doing things the way I like them. Not going to get buy-in. And the last reason why sometimes agencies do not get buy-in is what we call the carrot and the stick. I see many agencies go so extravagant on incentives. There's this, there's that, lunch, jeans, days off, bonuses, all the things, which are awesome. But you can't have an incentive plan without a stick, okay? So after a little while, you can in the beginning, I should say. So after a little while where you have incentivized people, if people aren't doing it still, you need to have a stick of what's the consequences. Is it a write-up? Is it you don't qualify for bonus? You have to have a stick. For this reason, especially when you're impacting the service team, we lean very heavily actually on team bonuses, because somebody might let themselves down, but very rarely will they let their team down. Think about leaning a bit on team bonuses to help solve that mentality. So I'm now going to walk you through the 6 steps that we take to get buy-in. Anything. The first is research and planning. I think a lot of agencies get sold, and some of them are even our clients, but we still love you so much, on the hot thing, the thing they see in a Facebook group, the thing they see at a trade show, the thing that's going to revolutionize their agency, and they get sucked in. It's not even clear how big of a problem this might be in the agency. It's not clear if this is going to actually solve the problem, because we get sold as opposed to really looking and doing the research, right? It's very easy to get sucked up into a sales process and be thinking at the end of the day, this is going to cure cancer, but it wasn't even hitting the problem that we were trying to. You need to identify, what is the problem? Is the person that's telling you this problem venting, or is it a real problem? Are there metrics that support this problem? Do you, as a leader, have a clear understanding of the challenge? Can you write down the challenge and the impact of the agency? And is it now the best time to tackle this challenge? Is this the biggest challenge we have? Is it the best time to do it? Identify, is this something we should spend some time on? Because a lot of team members and agencies think it's just like, went to a conference, let's go what you came back with. And they're so confused as to why that's the scenario. The next step that you want to do is get together a little task force to research options. I think that it should have diverse points of view. You might even want to consider Queen Bee being on there and your biggest cheerleader champion, so that you have different points of view. But having team members be part of that process gets more buy-in, which leads us to our beta tester. Almost everything in an agency should be beta tested before we disrupt the workflow and the people and the humans and our client experience. When you get a beta tester, you want to find that right person who's got that right mentality and mindset for this role to work through the kinks, but optimistically work through them. This person is not here to find ways to trash it. They're here to find ways to champion the program. A beta tester also gives you what we call a system matter expert. What that means is you have somebody on the team that knows the program, knows the product, understands why we're doing it, and can be a point person, so it's not all falling on the leader. So consider beta testers as you're doing it. Step 3, we always say, is how you announce this to the team. Sending an email, having a meeting, sticking it on the agenda, all boring. If you truly want buy-in, have a launch party, have a theme, have a very clear purpose of, this is exciting, this is happening for you, not to you. We like to say in that meeting, you want a clear definition of the challenge. Why did you do this? The steps and research you took, so that way people have faith and confidence this isn't a fly-by-night scenario. What the beta testers have found, what the solution is. This includes the timeline, the training plan, your expectations, and what their day will look like once they outlast the suck of getting something new digested. Then you want to go into incentives and expectations. What's next in Q&A? This is a professional way to roll out something new, rather than just sticking on here, hey guys, we're using this now. Let us know what you think. Everyone's going to get a login. What do I do with it next? What's the plan? What should I do? Who should I talk to about this? That's a great way for people to go whoop and go back to exactly what they were doing. Next up, you can't communicate enough. This is step 4. Anytime you launch something new in your calendar, in your tasks, you have to check in on this routinely. If you don't check in on it, people focus on what you focus on. So you cannot just do the wrecking ball, the Tasmanian devil, drop the bomb, then leave. You need to be going through and communicating. And this means that you need to review it in department meetings. You need to have one-on-one coaching meetings with your team. Maybe set up a team chat channel for questions. Send out a weekly email that is recapping positive spots. You don't have to do this forever, but you do have to do it for quite a few weeks to get true buy-in. The last step is make it happen. You got to keep the love alive. And this is like when we like to have a State of the Union address on whatever change and initiative. And this is why you can't have too many initiatives in a quarter or in a month. If the State of the Union is here's what's working, here's what we're working on, clear, crisp communication is always going to be your friend. We hope that you've enjoyed how to get buy-in. This is something we specialize in our agency assessment. So if you're struggling with this and all this sounds magical, you should definitely check us out because we're experts in helping you get your team bought in. We'll see you soon.